Hello and welcome to creatingforgrace.com. Today we're going to make this lighthouse card. I actually used the masking technique with this and some sponges. It is a sticky note that's a bigger size, so that really helps a lot. We're going to use the High Tide stamp set, which is this one right here. It's item number 143006 in the catalog. That is a set that's carrying over. And I chose this set because we are doing a weekly color challenge. And the color challenge this week was Tangerine Tango, Crushed Curry, Black, and Smokey Slate. So that's the colors that we're going to use today. I'm going to start with a 4" by 5 1/4" piece of paper. And I've already torn my sheet kind of in the direction that I would like the sponging to go. So for the first part, it's going to go right here, and we're going to start with some Tangerine Tango. And I always have a piece of scratch paper set aside so that I can get color off, because often when you sponge, you end up with some marks that you don't really want to have on there. So we're going to do some sponging just like this. And I'm kind of holding the paper in place because this first one isn't attached yet. So that's going to give us our first layer of color right there. We're going to move the paper down a bit, and we want to have it at a bit of an angle. So we're going to go just about here. Again, put some ink on the sponge, and you want to use a circular motion and not start directly onto the paper that you're wanting your finished product to be on, because you don't want to have those sponge marks. And I don't know if you can see that in the camera, something like that. If you use a circular motion, and you can always go back and add color, but that really helps prevent that quite a bit. So before we do our final one, I'm actually going to take some of the Smokey Slate, and I'm going to do the first part of the lighthouse, which is the more solid image. I want to determine exactly where that's going to be. And it's going to be just about here. And that will let us know where to put our second portion of our lighthouse. That one's done in black, and this is the portion you can see has more of the cutout in it. So we're going to ink this up. And there are some lighter parts, and since this is photopolymer, you can really get a fairly accurate placement, just like that. So now we can do our final bit of sponging. Let that dry just a bit. And we want this one to come down at an angle from the first one. And it's going to go just about right there. Again, using the Tangerine Tango lightly. We want to have just the tiniest bit of a little Tangerine Tango right on the side there. So now we're going to use the Crushed Curry. We're going to fill in. This actually is fairly darker than you actually think it would be, so use it sparingly. Start off of your paper. You'll notice I'm not re-inking right now. Right now I'm just going through and I'm filling in the space between the Tangerine Tango. Add some to this side. We're going to remove some of this color. That's why one of these Stampin' Up! Mats is really excellent to have, because when you want to go back and kind of do some blending like this. So that's it for that. What we're going to do is we're going to add some water to the very bottom, and we're going to do that in Smokey Slate. And because we're going to end up stamping off, I'm going to use one of our foam pads. It gives you some really good definition, but also because I'm going to be going off of the paper, we want to use that. And I don't know if you can see this very well. I'm going to move this out of the way. It stamps fairly dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm going to add some water. And I'm going to stamp off again. And I'm going to add a little bit of water. Stamp off mostly, again, just keeping some at the very end so that we can have some water right up to. I'm going to stamp the entire thing off. And again, most of the color off. And we're going to do the same thing right on the other side here. We have our birds that are flying overhead, just like this. So I'm going to grab our black again. And I really like images that end up off the paper in some portions. So one of the birds I'm actually going to go ahead and have about halfway off like that. And the last thing to add is our sentiment. When you're dealing with photopolymer, it's really nice to see if you can make sure that it's well inked and try and line it up very well on your paper. Now that you've done all this lovely sponging, you don't want to ruin it at the very last minute. So the couple layers that we have ready to go. The first layer is white. I'm going to wipe my hands really fast. Anytime you do sponging, end up with ink all over the place. Then we have our bone folders that we get to give you a nice crisp edge. I really like using them. And our snail adhesive. So this is a layer of Tangerine Tango paper. It is cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. It's going to give you just that tiniest bit of border around the edge. You want to do your best to line that up, leaving just that bit of white. Then you're going to add adhesive to your inner layer that you did the masking. Again, leaving a very even border, as even as you can, eyeballing that. And the final touch that I did is I used a Wink of Stella pen. And I don't know how well the shimmer will come through. I know it's very difficult to actually get it to show in photographs, but I added some shimmer to each of the birds. And I can actually see it very well. We're going to add some shimmer down the sides, and also some shimmer right across the water here. And it's okay to pick up some of that color that's going to be right hitting the water at the top there. And the final place, we'll add a little shimmer right to the top of the lighthouse. I don't know how well the camera can pick up the shimmer. I can see it really well. Anyway, this is the finished project. The most important point is really blending these areas very well. And don't forget, you can always go back and soften up those edges. My original was actually a bit lighter for the Calypso Coral, and I really liked that. So play with your sponging, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today, and thanks for stopping by.